Michiko. Michiko is a really good daughter, and I really love her, and she's so, she's so smart.
Michiko is a 3-year-old little girl that has come to us from the Marshall Islands with her family, with Mike and with Sela. She's been in the Early Head Start program almost since she was born, and she's a delightful child, but sometimes has tendencies not to warm up well with strangers. Just takes her a little bit more time to warm up possibly than other children. There certainly are children in our communities that are shy and withdrawn. How can we, as Early Head Start, as Healthy Start, as 0 to 3, as the community, provide services and supports for the families that do have shy children, and certainly for the children themselves?
My ABCs, next time won't you sing with me? I first met Sela and Michiko at Kauai High Transitional Shelter. At the very beginning, as a home visitor going into the home, my responsibility was building that trust.
We don't know everything, so because our English is not really good, we don't really talk with anybody. Only Charlie and I talk with her.
We built our relationship on home visiting.
Charlie helped me how to find house and jobs, and like applying for food bank.
I did notice the shyness in Sela and Michiko. And so my concern was, how can I help them with the shyness? I had to start thinking of other avenues. Could it be other things besides their speech and language? Could it be a health concern? Could it be a mental health concern? I had to just kind of get a feel of the family environment, her family lifestyle, and their culture.
There were issues, there were certainly economic, social, cultural issues that, though I may not have been completely aware of, and language issues as well, just this little 9-month-old, and as I got to know her, still, you always have to balance was she truly language delayed, or is she just learning 2 languages at once?
She wasn't speaking, and she would just make sounds, or she would just point. For Early Head Start, we have a screening tool called Ages and Stages Questionnaire. And on that questionnaire, it talks about the different domain areas. And at the home visits, we did it together where I would ask Sela the question, and Sela would respond, yes, not yet, or sometimes. If there is an area that a child scored very low, such as Michiko, because of communication, that was a red flag for us. We have the opportunity to meet and visit with the doctors to review the screenings and her score. Her doctor is right there and able to review it with me, and we together we can ask questions and we can come up with ideas how to help the family in general.
Our home visitors really try to learn about the family and learn about the culture of the family as it relates to the child's growth and development. And in Michiko's case, we know that the family that she came from, also coming from the Marshall Islands, has a tendency to be a little bit more quiet, a little bit more reserved. They watch a lot, they look a lot, they listen a lot. They're not always talking. But in Michiko's case, it went a little bit beyond that. The shyness we knew to expect, but the withdrawn behaviors that she exhibited from time to time were a little bit beyond what we would expect for that culture or any culture.
One of Sela's goals was speech and language. So I built a lot of my activities around music, around stories, around finger play. And what I did though was I brought the activity in and I had Sela, because Sela is the first teacher in Michiko's life. Yes. So Sela would be the one who would be reading to Michiko. Yeah. We did songs together.
Yeah, song together and eating together. And
But I did also notice that Michiko had a difficulty time detaching from her mother. She would only step 2 feet away and then she'd come back. So what I did was I started just reading a book to her, and she sat on mom's lap, but she listened. And then we started doing finger plays, song. So mom got her involved by doing the finger plays with her. As time progressed, Michiko knew I was coming on a weekly basis. She started getting curious and started to look in my bag as to know what type of activities I was bringing in. As Michiko started pulling out the activities, may it be puzzle, may it be books, out of my bag, she built that trust with me that together we started doing the activities. And mother got involved, but as I was explaining to Michiko, mother would explain to Michiko in Marshallese. We started bringing her to play groups. So as Sela started to join us with socialization, Michiko also started being around other children. And even though Michiko was very shy, she started observing, she started watching other children. In due time, she started maybe even standing next to them or even getting involved, parallel play right next to another child. And with support, wherever she leaded us to go or was curious, we followed her and we enhanced her then.
So Charlene really had to do the activities that would pull her out, that would make her feel safe, that would engage her with other people other than her mom and her dad. So the activities during the week, the curriculum plans that they followed, the lesson plans that they generated were all designed to help her feel successful in whatever environment she was in. It was a targeted intervention. It wasn't just haphazard. Things were planned along those lines. And Sela certainly had an opportunity to help Charlene make those plans and follow through with those plans.
Concerns about children or families or issues around a family that look like possible mental health or behavioral issues, those come up during reflective supervision.
As a home visitor, I have the opportunity to meet with Martha White on a weekly basis, and I would bring up concerns on an issue that a family may have. I'm the one going in and coming out, so Martha is my link, again, just her or an avenue where if there is a question or concern, that there's that open communication.
The home visitor has their relationship with the parent, and they in a way hold that parent the way they want that parent to hold the child. That's how it works. I hold them, they hold the parent holds the child. So in Michiko or other children who are shy, you know, and temperamentally they call it slow to warm. These are often what's called the lost children, because in big families they kind of get ignored in a classroom because they don't make a fuss, you know, they're just kind of in the background and not asking for what they need, not out there, you know, advocating or screaming or throwing fits. So the question is always, is it impeding this child from doing what children need to do? So play, you know, movement, thinking, speaking, language, or communicating. It doesn't have to be language, it can be any kind of communication. So when a shy child becomes a withdrawn child, a lot of times you're going to see that in an environment like a socialization, right? Or a preschool, or a migrant ed classroom, or some place where the social demands are greater and different or novel than they are at home. And that's why we push so hard to get children connected, especially around 3, with some kind of program, because we know that's where we're going to see it, right? That's one of the reasons why all of our programs, Healthy Start, Early Head Start, 0 to 3, we look to that magic 3 for this is when we have to try to get that child out in the community somehow to begin to test the waters.
One of the big aspects of being in Early Head Start is to have a transition plan almost the day that you arrive in Early Head Start, thinking about where you're going to go next, where the family's going to go next. So our home visitors along the way are preparing mom and dad for whatever that next transition might be. And in Michiko's case, we were very fortunate to develop a partnership with the Migrant Ed classroom in Waikoloa, and for Sela to go out and to take a look, to visit along with Michiko, to see if that was going to be an appropriate placement, possibly after their experience with Early Head Start. We really feel an obligation to see the family and the child through whatever transition there needs to be as the child turns 3.
You know, Migrant Ed works with families too. They do ESL training. They do, you know, it's not just the child, you know, it's the system. And it's taking place at a school. What better, you know, how much better can it get? This is what a school looks like. This is what school children do. This is how they dress. This is what they carry on their backs. This is, you know, the whole environment is teaching them also and getting them ready. So, you know, it's school readiness. It's the perfect school readiness. Better even than a preschool because of where it's at. Yeah. In general, not just Marshallese cultures, but in general, a lot of cultures have very different learning styles. And the preschools I work with, they often don't even know what their expectation is about their own culture. It's hidden. So these kinds of things, no Marshallese child or Costa Rican child or child is going to come in and get a handbook. This is the way we do it here. So they have got to have a lot of social smarts. And in any group of children, there will be those who have social smarts, those who have language smarts, those who are very physical. Those that do okay are the ones who have, you know, a social intelligence that is very active, or who have parents who are real aware of some kind of differences.
Just being a part of that team, just knowing where I started with Michiko and knowing the process that Early Head Start has made in her life is a reward for us, for me as a home visitor, to see this child progress into a well-rounded child out there in the community at a preschool and playing among other children, and just hearing her laughter now, and just by seeing her smile, and that smile, that love that I brought into the family is given back to me, and that's my reward as a home visitor in Early Head Start.
If early intervention, if Early Head Start, if Migrant Ed, if all these agencies that are so in touch with early childhood can make this convincing argument to people that, look, 10 years down the road, this is your workforce, or 20 years down the road. And we know if they have positive school experiences, positive socio-emotional experiences, that they will be ready for school, and they will feel like adults are their friends, and they will be able to learn, and they will feel good about all those things. And we know if they don't, that by about 7, it's too late.
I look at Michiko as this bright star shining out there. Sela's dream was for Michiko to be able to go to preschool, to be able to go to a DOE program, and to just be a part of the DOE and to be a part of what's available for her out there.
Yeah, I hope that she's gonna be a lawyer. Yeah, and she's gonna, I think, she's gonna lawyer and then also businesswoman.